Hello and welcome. This is going to be the beginning of a new story of the Savage Lands. This is going to be the fifth fortress that I play as the Towers of Age. We started out with a few fortresses here on the mainland. I eradicated a couple of goblins. I reclaimed a fortress. I built a ocean bridge between the continents, and this new fortress will be built up here in the mountain ranges of the New World. It will be a mountain home, and it's going to be the mountain home that will bring war to those elves. This is also going to be a very narrative-driven fortress. It's the first time that I'll try something new here. This fortress will have a main protagonist and a main story, so I'm really looking forward to that. The story is quite easy. We will play a fictional character from our previous fortress, Kogana Ross, and there once was an ambush of elvish bandits in Kogana Ross. They managed to infiltrate the pens and killed a couple of animals, and in the story here, one of these dwarfs was the owner of one of these animals that got killed in the incident, and he has sworn revenge. The idea of the story is that this particular dwarf then went to his queen, who's also residing in Kogana Ross, and did what he could to found a new expedition up there. Officially, of course, to found Her Highness a new mountain home, some glorious place to live at in the new world. And of course she was happy to oblige, but his secret motivation is to kill all those guys that killed his lovely, lovely Cavi Cup. You know, that's the basic story of the main protagonist, and I already know where we will play. I've prepared pretty much of it. I have very many ideas what we're going to do. That's been the intro. So before we get started here for real, I just want to point quickly towards PayPal, Patreon, and Buy Me a Coffee. I love storytelling, but Dwarf Fortress is a niche game, and I'm really, really happy about your guys' support, and yeah, we're going to do this together. And here, since this is the Savage Lands, we are playing Untamed Wilds. The whole idea of the saga was to found fortresses only in the wild areas where we have giant animals and whatnot. And the other criterion is we don't want a heavy aquifer because these are just really hard to bear. So I took my preparations. So just so you know, the elves are all these little areas here, and I noticed this particular little wonderful patch. So we live here at a mountain range. This whole thing drifts down into the forests, and this river connects down to the elven cities of this forest. And since I do plan to play a little bit around with magma in the forests, this comes just in handy. This will be the place where we live at. This tile here offers us a really nice amount of metals that we can work with. And the challenge here will be that we don't have ideal metals to work with military, but I don't care. It's just a wonderful place where we can just embark and have some fun. So, this is just the regular old warnings, and here I have made a profile for this whole thing. This fine young gentleman, the woodcutter, is, by the way, our main protagonist. Who would think that he has this particular plan in mind? And I made him particularly persuasive and a competent schemer because, you know, that's just what we do. All the other things here are not that particularly interesting. I'm going to go over everything during the series. It is just a regular start that I tinkered together, and good thing that I checked back with that, because we need to name her properly. I thought that name would have been saved too. Good that I double checked. Her name will be FIREMINED, because that's what we're going to do. So let's start this story. I don't know how my tile will look like. I've done all these preparations, and I've been looking forward to do this And here we are. Welcome to FIREMINED, my friends, and welcome to a pretty long journey. This series idea is that it's going to be a diary of the happenings of this place, and it's going to be also the documentation of the mountain home that we build here. Let's go. I also want to mention that I have done a few little changes to the general setup. I went forward and increased the population cap to 300 because I figured if we want to do a magma spitting mountain home, 300 people are just way to go. Because if you check back with the map, most of the other bigger metropolises have up to 400 people at times. So here 300 people at a Gulf Cobalt. So you see, the AI does make larger cities than the standard model has. So we are sitting here, and this is going to be so awesome. So the goal of this series will be to make sure that our good friend, the woodcutter here, let's zoom on in on him. Our good friend Uzol, he's expedition leader already. I didn't even configure that. Wonderful. Uzol Ordust. Welcome. So we're going to make sure that this man will be baron of this place, and it will be of my utmost importance and focus that I'm keeping him alive as long as possible. It's wait a sec. Him? I think it's a her. Yeah, that's a yeah, alright. So, who would have thought that our main protagonist pulls off a spontaneous gender bender? Yeah, that's okay. I don't mind. I don't have any preferences gender-wise. So we are here in the middle of a ruddy old forest, and our other conduct will be that our expedition leader has little to no respect to the elves, and it's going to be very important that we make them angry as quick as possible. But let's scan our environments. So we have a brook. This is not really a river. This is just a brook. We can fill it with magma, can't we? So I already see bituminous coal on the very first layers. Luxuries. Alright, so let's zoom out a little bit further. When we check out this place, we have quite a massive elevation. Okay. Nice. That's pretty cool. That means we got options for a nice castle. Like, I was imagining, like, pumping up magma from down below and let it rain down in the valley. We can't do that from quite high elevations. That's nice. I've always wanted to make a magma flood one day. So I think we're going to go around that hill here. This is not exactly as steep as that one, but wow, that thing is really steep and high. But that thing here also has a big downside. It's just very narrow. Whereas here we have plenty of area to work with. I mean, here's the top of the plateau. We go down here, boom, 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 until we reach the bottom level here where the brook is on. We already have so many levels where we can build an entire city in. I already love this tile. Damn, this is cool. This is going to be really cool. So the idea is that we're going to build the city in the lower left corner, and we're going to build a big, bad, magma-spitting castle around it. Hell yeah. Alright, so we got our basics down. All the other plans will be made on the fly. So I will, of course, take care that due to the fact that this is a roleplay run, I will also evolve the story on the fly. We will see. Maybe Uzol will marry one day. Maybe she will have children. Maybe she will make friends or enemies. Maybe she will get murdered by somebody and I need to find a new protagonist. Either way, this series will only end with a magma-spitting fortress, alright? Alright. Now, let's see. She is Vukar follower, of course. What else? Alright, so let's get started with assigning the extra mining people. I have brought enough tools for 3 miners. Ah yeah, they're already assigned. Brilliant. So we're going to carve into the mountain ware. The first few hits are always quite important to me, but I think we're going to go in here. So let's excavate the ramps around that right away. And we're going to dig a nice little entry here. Probably this place that I'm digging out here one day soon will be the pastures or something like that. But for starters, we're going to use that as our base of operations. Boy, bituminous coal, right from the get-go. I've never had such wealth in any of my fortresses. I love that. So, when it comes down to the story, all of these starting 7 are really eager to do their thing. I have brought a crowd of 3 miners, our woodcutter leader, 1 armorer, 1 weaponsmith, because you wouldn't leave house without, and 1 planter. These guys know that their expedition is meant to found a new mountain home for the queen. This is also the first expedition that enters the mainlands of these wild lands. I also must imagine that they have traveled quite far, and this place has 750 people. Okay. When I left it had 200. I need to digest that for a moment. I've never seen such a big dwarven fortress on the map ever. Huh. Okay, she thrived. Yeah, anyways, these guys, I must imagine, must have traveled quite a long time to reach this place. I mean, it is a small world, but either way, they had a pretty long journey, and they now know that they have a big task up ahead of them. We do get super early boulder access here. I'm not used to that. Honestly, this is a miraculous place already. So we're going to set up a stockpile for boulders because I want this little place here for other things. Udol, let's take a look at you. You're darn fast. Gracious. Values tranquility, disdains peace. Yeah, I love it when I have a self-fulfilling prophecy. Greedy, good memory, intemperate, wonderful. So let's get a visual description. She is tall and fat, wonderful. Her very long hair is tied in a ponytail. Her nose bridge is incredibly concave, somewhat short nose. Yeah, well, light brown hair, pink skin, brass eyes. What a beauty. She's slow to heal, quite clumsy, and quite susceptible to disease. Alright. So, technically, I would have loved to bring somebody from the previous fortress. Actually, somebody from the previous fortress. Not really making up the story of the Cavibor, but actually having somebody who... I mean, there are a couple of dwarves in Koganaros who actually have witnessed exactly what I had in the intro, but whatever. Next step, we go over here, we make a stockpile for everything except for stone, because stone is being stored somewhere else, and now we can finally unload the wagon. So our brave crowd here is setting up their new home. So I brought a pretty own concoction of things here. We don't have any weapons because we don't need them that badly. We should check out our vicinity though. Eagles. No other giant animals in sight. I see that as something very, very good. Who will know what horrors this place has in store for us though. So let's see. I'll take that as a storage room for starters, and we're going to take a little bit of an excavation trip down here. There we go. And here I go, a couple of staircases down. Also, check out the description box if you want to see the previous fortresses that I've played here. I have a playlist for all of them, for either the entire saga or just this season. As you please. Alright, so next step for me is we're going to carve down a couple of levels and see what we'll find there. Rock salt. Wonderful. And we've hit the aquifer. So that leaves us with quite a few levels to work with before we hit aquiferous rock. That is really nice. What is that stuff? Mountain Avon buds. I've never seen white flowers. Yeah, okay. So, by the way, it's also worth pointing out one thing that is easy to overlook. But here we have a cut between biomes. As you see here, all of a sudden, no more trees. That's because we entered here, technically, the mountain range biome. I sadly can't zoom in deeper here anymore, but you saw it on the world generation. So this is the mountain tile. These are technically mountain tiles, and these are the forest tiles. So our fortress is sitting between two biomes. So we are mostly settling down into the mountain biome here. And obviously the mountain biome also has mountain flowers. I had no clue. Sweet. So my plan is going to be that we need a city that is not too deep. Our city's mining expeditions will be mostly about procuring materials and excavating a proper mine. Therefore, the majority of the city will be sitting around that hill here. Okay, that is a very, very interesting and different perspective onto things, as that means I practically can carve a road into the mountain and say that's our city here. And I think that's what I'm going to do, my friends. So we're going to carve a road in here. So this layer, I don't know what we're going to do with it except for making it a part of our housing area. It's going to be a trading area for sure, so I think military will be residing here at some point, as this is the lowest point of the fortress surface-wise. That means wagons and whatnot from other cultures will enter the fortress on this level, and this is always a good point to put your military at in my book. Okay, so we're going to make a nice circular roundabout here. And let's start making a couple of rooms here. I need to set up my industries ASAP. So we're going to go and make that thing here. Yeah, let's make that a nice and fancy staircase thing. As this is going to be a mountain home run, I also will make this place a little bit more beautiful. Or at least try to. So, after all, I think that Uzol here is not actually only after revenge. She's also after revenge, but not only after revenge. I think the idea of making a proud and mighty mountain home should be something that every dwarf should hold high in their values. And it's also a very prestigious and noble goal, so I think Udol here truly has 2 hearts in her chest. But she wants to let these long ears bleed for what they done. So let me know in the comment section how her pet Cavi is going to be named. We're going to import a pet Cavi at some point, because some people will bring one in the with the migrants, and it's basically already scripted that she has to adopt another Cavi. You know, she has a soft spot for these, and we need a name for that, so let me know. Dwarven names, please. Alright, the big advantage that I see for this location already is that we have such vast amounts of fuel available right from the get-go. Alright, so let's see. These things are a done deal. So where are we going to manufacture things? So I want to do this more underground. Yeah, we're going to do the manufacturing stuff underground. Like, we're going to make the pompous and the lively things and all this on the surface level, and the industrious things, the crafts dwarf ship, we're going to make that happen down below. All right, here we have a nice little stairwell, and that level up here I will use for agriculture, because that's just a darned easy and cheap way of solving things. I have a brook next door. Irrigating things will be a child's play that way. So we're going to use that. That means we're going to dig a big fat tunnel here, and we're going to make a nice mighty hole here. There we go. But we're going to make, let's see, something like that happen. You know, a couple of pillars. Make these holes look like something. This place is, after all, designed by a lady. Anyway, so we're going to use that layer here now for the workshops. I will use this area now as my temporary area where we will put down things in a more pragmatic way. You know, the starting workshops and these things. We got a lot of little things to do here. Alright. I like the idea of putting in some pillars here and there. I mean, Dwarf Fortress has no innate system of statics or anything like that, but we can at least pretend as if. Okay, so this place will be my farming area. This will be where we put up some bedrooms and such. I can already see this thing coming together quite nicely. All right. So our brave miners are carving out the starting areas so we can finally set up the first workshops of Series of Dwarf. All right. So I brought a couple of blocks to work with because I always like to have efficient working materials at the beginning. And we're going to set up our usual suspects, as I like to call them. A stoneworker's workshop to get the party started, a carpenter, a mechanic, and a crafts dwarf. Usually with these workshops you are pretty well equipped for your starting needs. So, wait a sec, I didn't want another carpenter. I want a mechanic, because I love working with mechanisms quite early on. Carpenter's quite obvious, and the crafts dwarf, so we can get ourselves access to rock pots and mugs and other vessels in general. Very important workshops altogether. Okay, so we order ourselves a throne to sit at. So our expedition leader can start managing. I don't know if she's actually going to be the manager or not. So at the very first days we have people here sleeping on the floor. So Cyril blah. So emotional, obsessive, strong. So our three miners, they must be really good friends, aren't they? Oh, well, not yet. We will have to wait a couple of episodes to see how it'll go. And by the way, I have pretty pretty much my plans down how this fortress will work. The only question is how and where can I procure the necessary magma for that? Worst case scenario, we will have to put up a really, really deep pump stack. I dread that. But at the end of the day, you know, it doesn't matter. You can make a pump stack 100 stories deep. All you need is just a couple of extra water generators. It's, yeah. You can work it out. If you have high ambitions, you can always work something out. But I really hope that we might get lucky and hit a magma tube somewhere. That would be really, really awesome. Okay, so next stop over here, I want to set up my farming basics. I want to have a still, and I want to set up my kitchen orders. Don't cook those plump helmets. Don't cook the booze. And we have only farmers harvesting. We don't collect webs automatically, and we don't claim other dead automatically, and children don't do chores for now. There we go. It's just a couple of basics that will make your life so much less tragic. Good. Planter designated. Okay, so nobody can stop us now. Alright, we do need a irrigation tunnel, so let's set up that. And due to the brook next door, we can set up a fishery. That's pretty cool. Alright, I used up already all of my blocks that I started with, but that's okay. We will carve out more than enough blocks later down the road. There's so much to do, though. I mean, we got to set up so many things and decide so many things. I'm so excited. So, but there's coal all over the place. This place is really rich in this resource. That's pretty good. That means we can make ourselves a really nice start in terms of smithing, even if we will need a pretty long time to procure the magma that we need. I will have no problems to forge items, magma-safe materials, glass for example. I do see that we have sand here, so glass is absolutely an option. Okay, so we have expert miners. We recruited only the best, yet still the first days they really drag along quite slowly. And we don't make the progress that I'd like to make. Either way, it's going to be completely okay. So we're now setting down the blueprints for our irrigation chambers. We will need to make a different setup than usual, because usually I flood via aquifer irrigation, and this time we're going to make that a little bit different by utilizing the brook. That means we'll need to drain the water down below instead of draining the water from up above. Whatever. It's a fun change. I don't mind. But we really should start setting up stockpiles now. So, one stockpile for the drinks. There we go. And basically one stockpile for everything else food for now. I'll be specifying things later a little bit more precisely, but for starters, this is totally okay. Next step, I am going to delete this stockpile here, so we have everything here, but it's not gonna be any problem. All right. So, raw muscle. Ah, yeah, I see. Okay, we have set up the chair And that means we can set up our first office. Oh, wait a sec. I want to do it better than that. So let's make a door as well. Alright, that is a fine start. So let's set up the stockpiles here real quick. One stockpile for wood and one stockpile for stone. There we go. This is all very, very raw and very basic by all means, but we're going to set up a more specialized setup later down the road. Okay, so we're going to need all manner of different items, so I want to set up another stoneworker, because or well, let's just make that too, because I realized that there's a couple of things that I want to get done now. So doors, hatches, and a lot of other things. We also need a couple of rock mechanisms, so there will be a couple of things that we're now crafting manually, or well, not via management orders, that's for sure, but I want to have a couple of materials to work with. So here we go. Hatch covers. 2 of them should suffice. Yeah. Okay. Now, let's set up a door. I mean, technically, you can make an office by just setting down a chair somewhere. But we are here a roleplay run, and therefore we are going to make a proper office for our dear and esteemed expedition leader. Alright, so there we go. And last but not least, the manager. Oh, the planter is actually the manager, so it's not the expedition leader's office. Sorry, you get another. You get the next one. There we go. Alright, the expedition leader doesn't necessarily need an office yet. Okay, so I'll leave you, dear friends of Dwarf Fortress, roughly at this point. We're going to continue next time when I'll be setting up these wonderful irrigation chambers, which, well, will provide us ample supplies of food and drink. And I can't wait to get more done here, explore that mountain, set up the fortress. It's going to be quite exciting, and this location is already quite gorgeous, and I can't wait to see what we will discover when we dive deep. Maybe we will find an early access to magma, whatever might be the case. I can't wait to have these adventures with you together. So leave me your comments down below. A thumbs up would be wildly appreciated, and consider subscribing. And as I have said before, you will find the various links to the Savage Lands saga down below, and I hope that you will join on in. Thanks again a lot for watching, and hop on over on my Discord if you want to have a chat. There are many like-minded gamers, and would be awesome to have you there as well. So, until we meet again, have a wonderful day.